Most people assume that if someone stays quiet in a room, it simply means they have nothing to say. But that explanation is often too simple. Because when someone speaks less, something else usually begins to happen. Their attention shifts, and instead of focusing on what to say next, they start noticing things that most people completely miss. Body language, small pauses in conversation, the way someone's tone changes halfway through a sentence. And the interesting part is, many people who do this don't even realize they're doing it. You've probably seen a moment like this before. A group conversation is happening, everyone is talking over each other, and one person is mostly listening. They're quiet, maybe even a little distant, but later they casually mention something no one else noticed. Who was uncomfortable? Who was pretending to agree? Who seemed slightly upset? And suddenly you realize they were paying attention the whole time. If you're someone who naturally notices these small details, you might already understand this feeling. Some people move through conversations by speaking. Others move through them by observing. And this is where the psychology becomes interesting. For some people, quietness simply creates more mental space. When you're not focused on forming your next sentence, your mind is free to scan the room. Subtle expressions, posture shifts, and tone changes become easier to notice. For others, it comes from curiosity about people. Instead of thinking about how they appear, they're quietly wondering what others might be thinking or feeling. Then there are people who develop this habit much earlier in life. Sometimes growing up in environments where understanding other people's moods felt important. Over time, observation becomes almost automatic. But what's fascinating is how this shows up in everyday moments. In a meeting, they notice who actually supports an idea and who just nods politely. In a group of friends, they notice the one person who suddenly becomes quieter. Even in casual conversations, they often pick up on tension long before anyone mentions it. And most people assume this happens because quiet people are shy. But the part people misunderstand is this. In many cases, it's not about shyness at all. It's about where attention naturally goes. When someone isn't focused on performing socially, their awareness spreads outward. Instead of managing how they appear, they start noticing how everyone else behaves. And something interesting tends to happen next. The more someone observes people, the more patterns they begin to recognize. Small reactions start to mean something. Certain tones signal frustration. Certain pauses signal hesitation. If you've ever caught yourself noticing these things without trying, there's usually a deeper reason behind it. Because over time, observation becomes a quiet way of understanding the world. And that reveals something important about human behavior. Many people speak to connect. Others observe to understand. Both are ways of navigating the same social space, just through different instincts. But for those who notice everything in a room, the silence often isn't empty. It's full of information. And once someone becomes aware of how much they're noticing, they begin to realize something else. The quiet moments in a conversation are sometimes where the most understanding actually happens. Some people only recognize that about themselves much later. And once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere.